Hello and welcome to this edition of the Evening Review. My name is Ndeitunga, the host for tonight's edition. Let's have a look at today's front page of Namibian Sun. Tonight, we are welcoming back the Chief of the Namibian Police, General Sebastian Ndeitunga, Lieutenant General, as a matter of fact, to talk to us about recent events concerning his portfolio. Welcome back to the show, General.
Thank you very much.
Yes. So maybe first thing is just really that we are having elections next month. And we saw already that there are some sort of heated confrontations. I saw there was a very heated one in Opua last weekend. But I mean, it's a very seasonal thing that happens all the time. How prepared is the police, or are the police, as far as elections are concerned?
No, the police, we have been prepared. We are prepared, and it will always be prepared.
Yeah.
To ensure that members of the public or political party and their followers, they conduct their election campaign in a peaceful atmosphere. And we would love to call upon them to make sure that they sensitize their members not to involve in provocative and incitement of violence or public violence. But we are ready, but our readiness will be complemented by the behavior of members of the public as well. We will only be successful if members of the public really assist us to maintain law and order by behaving according to the code of conduct that guides the election campaign and so forth.
And the police has been struggling lately with logistical support from central government in terms of vehicles, the fact that you couldn't employ new officers for some period of time. Does it affect your preparations in any way?
Yeah, recently we are going to now to recruit 700 or 700. They are going to be deployed. They went through training. The training is completed. The end of this month we are going to they are going to be graduated and they join the rank and file of the Namibian Police Force. But of course it's a drop in the ocean. But it's better than nothing. So if you can remember, maybe 7 years, all these 7 years, the country has been going through a very difficult situation when it comes to our economy. And you can't expect that the police will be properly supply the necessary equipment, because the whole country is facing problem. Come droughts, come coronavirus and all those stuff. So we have to do more with the little we have.
Indeed. And speaking of recruitment, General, now that you spoke about it, what are the demographics? There's always this persistent perception and complaint that the police is never tribally balanced. There's always an oversupply of, Shwamo speaking, officers as opposed to other tribes. Is that a deliberate exclusion of other tribes? Is that the way people applied for positions? What leads to that perception of exclusion of other tribes?
I think that is a perception of people. Probably they don't know how we normally recruit, or in general, when you have a vacant position, whether it's a private sector or government, you advertise, and when you advertise, you expect everybody to apply who think he or she has the necessary qualification to apply for the post. And when you are going to sort out, you don't ask from where these people is coming. You look for the person who is having the necessary qualifications. And because of also speaking, of course, the large number, the bigger population, whenever they apply, there are many. They send more application than other ethnic groups. But what we do in the police, we have quotas per region. These last 10 years, we are recruiting per quotas. Every region have got maybe 20% or 10%, whatever quota we are allocating. And we expect that if you apply from Opo or Kunene region, you should be really Chihemisa or Chitemisa or whoever. But I also see it's discriminatory in the way that everybody applies and everybody has got right to be employed if he is if he or she apply for a certain position. And because of freedom of movement, Namibians are everywhere. Now if you exclude Aufiku who have applied from Zambezi region, then this person might claim to say, why should be I'm excluded? I'm just like any Namibian, and I apply from my own country, wherever I am. But for us to balance the force, that is what we are currently doing, to make sure that the force at least is ethnically balanced.
The police came in for heavy criticism in the past couple of days regarding the events of anti-sexual and gender-based violence protests that were held recently. And it made international news, BBC, Al Jazeera, and all these things, basically portraying Namibia as a country that is becoming a police state. What did your reporters, your officers tell you about what actually transpired?
I don't think people are being fair with the police. Anyhow, we are doing a thankless job. I know people sometimes, even those, sometimes they are called to go and address a certain gathering or even in an area, let me say political campaigns. Sometimes they don't have an agenda than criticizing the police. For us, we are proud of what we have been doing. If you see what could have happened if the police could not have acted, they could be looting, and there could be serious damage to property, if not lives, of those who are working in Ben Hill Mall and even at KFC. People should know the concept that the world would be consequence if the police could have allowed these people to do whatever they wanted. I think, to me, the police did what could have done in the circumstance. And we can always, they are free to criticize us. Nobody is perfect. If they concentrate only on criticism but not recognizing the important role and the risk role that the police is playing, then is as they are sleeping in the roller in terms of really being realistic. I wish those who are saying so, they could have a business like that could have been threatened by looters.
Indeed. And then, of course, we have this, we've had this proud record as a country that no Namibian journalist was ever arrested in the course of their duty, and that record perhaps broke a week ago when they were also arrested. Of course, there are arguments that, of course, journalists, I mean, I will be the first to admit that journalists are not above the law, but that record is broken now under your watch.
I don't think that the record has been broken. I know the world also analyze things. They don't, people who really are analytic and very inquisitive, and the people who are objective and very impartial in analyzing issues, they look exactly what had happened. First and foremost, as a journalist, you have to identify yourself by way of even dressing, and you have to make sure that you don't interfere with the performance of the police. You have to assist as well. You don't have only an obligation of gathering news. You have an obligation also of making sure that those who are responsible for maintaining and law and order are doing their job without being interfered with. What I understand is that some of them, they were dressing like protesters. Even if they were, I understand the one was screaming to say, I'm a journalist, but you were on the way of the police. Give way. Even if you wanted to take the best angle of your photo, you have to take a certain position. If you are interfering with the police and you are also confusing yourself with the demonstrator, you can be picked up.
Indeed.
But in this case, when I was told that there are some journalists that were picked up, I instructed the police to verify whether it is true that they were journalists. And then I said, make sure that they are released unless they have really flagrantly committed an offense, because they are not above the law.
Yes.
So that's why they were released.
Indeed. Indeed.
Yeah.
And thank you for...
And I don't think that because there was no malicious intention against any journalist. We worked here in Namibia. Journalists are working with us in educating the public and informing the public. They are part and parcel of the system of maintaining law and the order. Some of them, but I think you colleagues who are more experienced, you have to talk to the young ones how to behave when they are in this situation.
Indeed. Now let's talk briefly about your officers, General. There's also been a lot of complaints about the behavior generally of police officers during the first months of the lockdown. You yourself went on national TV to say that police officers that were making people swim in Tombo and so many other similar behaviors. Why is it that the police actually investigate these kind of things themselves? I remember the case of Frida Ndatipo, who was shot dead at the SWAPO headquarters some years ago, 6 years ago, by officers. And somehow these things just never see the light of day. Why is the police investigating itself and not having a separate department, neutral, that can look at some of these complaints?
It is not only Namibia that is doing that. There are many countries who are having the same setup. But I should just correct you to say that it was sought by the police. I think you should withdraw that statement because there is no evidence. Because all the firearms that were carried by the police were taken to the lab to be analyzed to see whether there is one live ammunition was fired. Because the allegation is also that among themselves there was someone who was having a firearm, and after shooting he disappeared. This investigation could not come to a successful conclusion because in our investigation of all the firearms that we have confiscated, there was nothing that shows that anyone who fired live ammunition that could have probably strike the deceased.
But therefore, that is where the danger is.
The issue is The issue is that if you see how many police officers were investigated, they charged, and they found guilty, or who were fired, you can see that the investigation is totally impartial.
Yeah.
Impartial and very objective.
But that is where the danger is, General, because the officers took those guns. They went to to sort of test if the bullet was fired from some of those. Are we really to expect that police officers will come back and say, "Oh yes, we are the ones who shot the person"?
They are not the one who analyze that.
It's the police, isn't it?
It's independent, the forensic lab, very independent.
Outside
Those are
police.
scientists. They are not done by normal police officers.
Okay.
These are scientists, ballistic. You can't just go there, recruited, and you take analysis. That's why that is the forensic laboratory is totally independent, manned by qualified scientists.
Yeah, well, police officers. But
No,
anyway,
not all police officers.
no, but
They are civilians.
the division is within the police. That is my issue.
Yeah, but they are not influenced by anybody.
Yeah.
They are not influenced by. They analyze evidence that are brought to them objectively, impartially, and they not only analyzing ballistic.
Yeah.
They are analyzing other things. Even if a police officer is involved in a rape case or is facing allegation of rape, murder, other issues, and we have been successful in analyzing them. What only in this one?
I hear you.
What or why in this one that we are not? We should not be objective.
I hear you, General. Now, speaking of forensics, Nelius Becker, one of your most senior officers, was moved there. From I think is it CID, and there was this hullabaloo about supposedly an attempt by the police and other arms of the state to strangle the investigation into Fishrot, saying that Nelius Becker was moved to forensics to neutralize him because supposedly he was pursuing the matter of Fishrot. What can you tell us about that?
I just say God forgive those who do not know how things are managed.
Yeah.
They could have complained when I recruited him from Anti-Corruption Commission.
Yeah.
There he was at the center of investigation. There he was carrying the docket. He was the chief investigator. Why they didn't complain that time?
Yeah.
They complained when I moved because here he was the head of the CID directorate. But the people who were involved in investigation there, not him. And I'm the one who is directing investigation in the police.
Yeah.
If I don't want him to go and arrest someone, I can leave him there and I command other people to go and arrest. Even those who have arrested the so-called Fishrot, it's not the one who ordered them to go and arrest. It is me. People should know that the force is led by the Inspector General and the management.
Yeah, yeah.
And myself, I know where the service of every police officer is needed at that time.
Yeah, yeah.
So I identified that, Dr. Ludik is retiring. And this Namibian Police Forensic Institute is very, very, very important supportive institution for investigation. I need someone who has got a CID background to run that institution. I just used my powers. I used to bring him over and take him there, and he's going to play a very, very important and a vital role when it comes to investigation. Of course, everyone has got their own opinion that we can respect, but I think many people are jumping the gun.
Yeah, indeed. As we are drawing towards the conclusion of this conversation, Inspector General, speaking of Fishrot, is the police still involved in any way in this matter, or is it, or did you do your job and have handed over the investigations to the next office? What is the state? What is the involvement of the police in this matter right now?
Remember, the case of Fishrot is an anti-corruption commission.
Yes.
We are just a supportive role to the anti-corruption commission, where our role, the police role is required. We do what is required to us. But this is an anti-corruption commission. Is the institution that is investigating this case.
So there's absolutely no, apart from, so you arrested the suspects, you are actually, they are still in the, okay, it's not the police that keeps them in jail. But are you saying that is sort of the only role that you play? There's nothing
No, there are a lot of investigation when it comes to money laundering, if there are any issues, suspicions of money laundering, if it comes to asset forfeiture. But the lead agency in all this is the Anti-Corruption Commission and the other institutions like the Bank of Namibia. It's a team, and a team where the police cannot impose any action. It has to be a joint investigation and joint action. So we are more on the asset forfeiture and money laundering issues. But the lead agency in the investigation of the Fishrot is the Anti-Corruption Commission.
So this allegation, Inspector General, that keeps popping up from time to time, that there are some underground attempts to muzzle this investigation. You can state on record that as far as you are concerned, and as far as the police is concerned, there are no known attempts to sort of muzzle these investigations.
Attempt from where? From the police, or attempt from where?
From the powers that be. The powers that be.
No, maybe you can ask the power that be. Myself, one thing that I like and I know is that in the performance of my duty, there are no interference, like political interference in some. I perform my duty as a police officer and very objective and independent. And even if someone probably calls me and talk about this, my big weapon is the law.
Indeed.
Is the Constitution, the criminal justice, criminal, the PCA, the Police Act. Those are my instruments. And whenever I argue from that perspective. There is no interference at all from my side. As I said, this case is an anti-corruption commission. Maybe you can ask those questions, the anti-corruption commission. But on our side, as police, no discrimination. Everybody is equal before the law, and we deal with everyone as the allegation presented to us, and we don't we are not influenced by anybody.
The GIPF matter, you used to be, the police used to be actively involved in that matter. We know that so far one person has been brought to court now. The Prosecutor General is saying that she doesn't see the reason to prosecute the rest of the people that were linked to that thing. And I know that the PG is a different entity from yours, but is the police still involved in that matter, or is it a closed matter as far as the police is concerned?
We have investigated the GIPF. There were so many dockets that were compiled, sent it to the PG's office. The PG, as an independent office, decided in whatever direction she did. And to us, we did all what was possible within the powers of the police. Difficult is it, because most of the evidence were destroyed because of the length of time that went by. And we all did, if there are investigations going on still, in some cases, very, very little. But most of the dockets were, some were probably not prosecuted. Maybe there is one or two that probably the PG has decided to prosecute or has to decide on. Maybe you can ask her once you get opportunity.
Indeed. The final question to you, General, is you are not growing any younger. You are like the rest of us. When people are questioning why the IG is still working, when are you retiring?
I have already packed, and when the day arrives, I will not be reminded. My things are already in the suitcase, and all of you will know that I'm no longer in the office, and I don't need to be reminded by anybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much, General, for coming to the show. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. That is Inspector General of the Namibian Police, Sebastian Ndeitunga, speaking to us about the work of his police force and the investigations of some of the biggest investigations in the country that they are busy carrying out. Thank you for watching, and good night.